Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company Podcast. I'm Dane Hennen. To my right, Levi Gates.
Oh, it feels so good to be back together as a team, the brotherhood.
And to my left, Anthony Fisher.
I am back, and
are.
I wanted to say something in German.
Oh.
I did not learn one word
Okay.
while I was over
So,
there.
immersion therapy did not work.
Arrivederci.
Okay. that works.
Buongiorno. No, it's
yeah.
all wrong.
Wrong
It's all
language.
wrong.
Well, you were in
Okay.
Rome, so you did speak some little Italian.
There was a little of that, yeah. Ciao.
Okay.
Right? I think
Lot
that
of
means goodbye.
Yeah. See ya. Bye.
Did
Gracias.
you learn to talk with your hands more?
That's
No, I talked with my hands enough, Dane. I think.
Well,
I
I
talked-
mean,
I think I already
that's
talked with my
true.
hands.
Dane would have
way
been
too much.
Dane
So
would have
really,
come
I
back
think
and he would have just been
I just
doing
would have
this
been like
the whole
this
time.
the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
It's
So-
like, Dane, they don't actually do that there. And he's
No.
like, I'm pretty sure they do. It's fine.
No, it's just wonderful stereotypes that everybody enjoys and definitely nobody gets offended at.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how to say, is it Avitas Day? Avitas Day? Is that how you say goodbye?
Alfitasen?
Alvitas? I don't know.
Alfitasen?
I didn't hear one German
Say
guy
here
say
Vita,
that.
I think
Oh.
something is live or life.
I think it's. I don't think it's
So-
Alvitasen. Alfitasen.
How does that
No.
factor into
Yeah.
saying goodbye?
Anyway, Lars,
Anyway.
let us know what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, we're
Um,
just watching, just crying. These guys are
wow.
horrible.
So,
Okay.
What'd you do on the weekend,
Oh,
Anthony?
man. Gosh.
He has the most to
I
say
had,
out
I had
of
the
us, for
longest.
sure.
I had the longest weekend, so I'm gonna let you guys go first. But
Oh,
it does feel good to be back here at the table. I missed work. I missed home. I missed all
And
this. And
you
so-
did you kind of like shut off away from the world. Like you did your stuff and you had a good trip and you didn't really worry about what was going on.
Every once in a while,
else.
you'd pop in on the
Yeah.
group chats.
Yeah, you know,
But
Group texts that
yeah,
the
you know,
TRC crew
I have,
has.
I have a couple babies brewing here, at TRC. So I needed
Oh,
to check.
wait, what?
I needed to check. Not literally.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I was
yeah,
gonna
there's
say,
no other
you-
females pregnant here in this building.
Okay, good. Just
carrying my
that's-
children.
That's
Thank you for
good.
clearing
Yeah.
that
Sorry,
up. Okay.
sorry, by babies I mean projects, things
Right.
like that.
Projects
and
that
so,
were working that
we're
were
working on, so-
in.
G. Davis is gonna have a
transit.
field day.
So I basically just wanted to check in on those, see how everybody was doing, but the time was just so different that it made it kind of hard. But no, for the most part, I did just tried to shut off from a lot of my other social media as well and just kind of enjoy it. But I'll get to that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you guys do every weekend?
Well, Levi, I'll ask you.
Oh,
Because I
just
didn't
dropping
hear
it back
too
on
much
me.
about your weekend, so
I didn't.
wanted to hear
well,
about it.
I didn't do a lot.
No?
That's it.
Okay. I mean, that's settles
No,
it.
I had kind of two cars scheduled.
Yeah.
I ended up rescheduling one for next week, and then which allowed me to fit a coding check for another car. So Friday evening, I got one of the cars dropped off to me,
Yeah.
which I was very excited about because it was a white E350 Mercedes with a nice tan interior and black carpet. So
Love a good E-Class.
Ooh.
yeah, and it was a 16, 17,
Okay,
which I really
yeah.
like that body style. And so I was very excited when I saw that. It wasn't too bad, but it was white, had some scratches on it. So played with that, worked on that all day Saturday. Got that car done, and the customer was able to come pick it up Sunday morning. But in the evening, I worked on doing a coding check on the SHO I did about a month ago,
Okay.
or about
Yeah.
6 weeks ago. I was having some issues with some high spots. I coded it in Inspiration, and I had a couple high spots in the hood
Yeah.
that didn't go away. So thankfully, having Keith Duplessis here on Friday, I was able to discuss some things with him and kind of work at getting the coding sorted out a little
Yeah.
bit. And actually was able to utilize that. I basically compounded and polished the hood to remove the coating on the hood, and I just relayed it. And did it great. It came out great, looked great. So fingers crossed, cures just fine.
And as I say, the temperature, the weather, and everything had been a little different since when you first applied it.
No, it was about the same.
Really?
Yesterday was warm. It was nice.
I think it's like been a good, on average, like 10 to 15 degrees cooler than.
No, I have a heated garage, so
Well, okay, so
the
that would be
temperature
the
doesn't
constant.
doesn't.
Here, I'm
that's-
picturing you
my
doing it
garage
out in
is-
your driveway.
No, my garage is always a
Okay.
constant temperature because it's insulated and heated, so I don't have to worry about that. And so I just pulled it in, shut my door, warmed my
Okay.
garage up to 10.
Well, then it doesn't
So
matter.
it was always installed at about 69 degrees. So never really had a problem. So But yeah, so I got that done. Those two things were like the biggest things. And then yesterday I literally just spent doing housework.
Oh, fun.
Got the backyard mowed, hopefully for the last time this year. Got everything edged. I got to do some weeding and things like that. Clean the garage. Got everything kind of organized. I need to bring in my hoses. I didn't get my hoses in.
You're ready for a blowout then, right?
I don't have to do a blowout
Well.
because I'm irrigation.
Oh, I wasn't talking about your sprinklers.
So, but I do need to shut them. I have already turned them off, and I haven't ran them for the last 2 weeks. So I do need to drain my system.
Yeah.
And with my irrigation system, I close one valve, open another valve. All the water drains down the line, and everything's cleared. So I'll just run it again with nothing in it, and it's good. So, but yeah, really a very kind of a fast weekend, short weekend. Wasn't too bad. I didn't have to really go anywhere or do anything, but Carly and I were planning to do something this weekend, just, go see a movie or something. But the kids on Friday, they were going to go to my mom's, but again, I don't know what it is, back to school.
Things
it's
add
like,
up.
no, it's just Dane, you don't know this yet because you don't have kids, but
So condescending.
kids bring home germs.
Oh, that's a fact.
So no matter how, basically, Carly wasn't feeling good. I got kind of a stuffed nose now. One of the, Augie had a stuffed nose. Like it's always like you're right on the edge of being sick, but you're not really sick.
Every time they go to school, they get an airplane's worth of germs exposure,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
then they bring it back home to you.
Yeah.
And then you got a couple different kids, so they have different environments
Right.
they're going to, which
Yeah, it's a
brings in
petri
a
dish.
whole variety.
It's
You
delicious.
basically have
Yeah.
like a little mini hospital
Yeah,
going on
well,
in
and,
terms of exposure.
I don't know how many times I've had to tell a 5-year-old to wash his hands.
Oh, they just don't.
Or whenever he grabs my hand, I go, "Why is it sticky?"
It's a fair question.
Yeah. So needless to say, felt like we were always on the cusp of getting sick, and plus allergies, the temperature changing, all that kind of stuff. So
This is the time that
we're
happens.
really feeling all that great to hang
Sure.
out or go anywhere. So we just stayed home. Had a great conversation with my mom, and she basically said, like, "Give me the children whenever." Like this weekend I want. So she's pushing for us to, have some time and
Well,
all that.
that's
So
nice.
that was really nice. My dad stopped by, my mom stopped by. Everybody just visited this weekend. So it was just great. It was
Okay.
nice.
So you had
Nice.
family time.
Yeah, it was good. And that's what it's I enjoy weekends like that. So
Well, good.
that was my weekend, but other than that, I didn't do anything else. Like
You didn't
nothing.
change any light bulbs during all that yard
No,
work?
no, but I
Okay.
almost did.
Oh.
I seriously thought about putting up. I've got a couple of those Berea extras that I was going to hang in my ceiling because I
different
don't.
kind of light
but
bulbs.
I have a stockpile of LED retrofits for T12s and T8s. They don't work in 3 of my lights, my
Oh.
overhead 4-footers, because one of them, a couple of them, the ballasts are too old,
Oh.
so they don't pick it up. But one of them, the ballast is completely out. And so I was looking at maybe replacing one of those with a newer one, but I thought, I'll wait. This morning on Marketplace, a buddy of mine posted a 4-foot shop light that he's pulling out of his kitchen that he's just given away. And so I texted him, said, "I'll just come grab it." And he's like, "Perfect, it's
Yeah.
yours." So I'll have a new 4-footer, so I'll just swap that out at my garage, and
Nice.
I'll put in those new LEDs, and it should be good to go. So
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it. So
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
nice.
I used a product this weekend that I've been testing, and I can't
Ooh.
talk more about it. So
Is it the one we talked about last time?
yes,
Kinda?
yeah, I did a little
Okay.
more work on it. Anthony has no idea what we're talking
No,
about. So
But impressions, positive. in
good.
between?
Hard to use on Mercedes soft paint.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I think
Okay.
if I had a chance, I would have switched to a wool,
Mm.
possibly.
So you think a pad would make a
I
difference, though?
think, yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't have said pad to test that theory. But
Okay.
overall, made it shiny. Didn't really do anything, but made it really shiny.
Okay.
So,
well,
but again, ease of use, all the good stuff that I talked about
yeah.
last time. I'm really liking it.
All the factors you look for in that
Yeah.
kind of Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, very impressed.
Well, yeah, we look forward to finding out more about that in the
Yep.
future. But in the meantime, as far as my weekend went, did a few different things, but I think, I don't want to bury
So-
the lead here.
Well, no, tell us about the mailroom. Anthony was gone for finding that out.
Did something happen, Dane, in the
So-
mail?
no, they
So do you
like
know about
most
the
things, they
mailroom?
make a
Did
mountain
you listen,
out of a molehill.
Have you listened to? Well, in this case, it is a mountain.
No.
So did you listen to the podcasts while you were gone?
I did not listen to the whole podcast while I was gone,
Okay,
no.
there was an episode where Dane and Liz, just to summarize, Dane was going to go for a drive because, with 5 cars, you have to cycle them through
Correct,
every
yeah.
day to drive them, keep the fluids moving.
Yeah.
You yourself
Heat
know
cycle.
with a vehicle such as a high-performance vehicle like your Mitsubishi. That
It may
you
not
need
come
to
out of the
drive
garage, but he does,
You need to
run
drive
the
it
Mitsubishi
at least once a week.
in a while.
That's how Dane does the same
Start
thing.
the bad boy up, yeah.
Yeah. So he likes to cycle the vehicles. So he had to drive the Miata because it was its turn to be driven. And he was going to go pick up a new monitor and a shredder. So long story short, Liz was going to go exercise, but decided that a good ride in the Miata is equal to an exercise.
Yeah.
So she
That was
went
their
with him.
interpretation.
Yeah.
So she went with him instead of exercise. She went and jumped in the car with him.
Exorcist, yes.
Yeah. So Dane said he had to buy a shredder.
Yeah.
And we said, oh, okay. So what do you need a shredder for? And he said, because I have so much mail that I have been stockpiling
I'm talking. I'm talking.
that I have a spare
years.
room.
What?
Years of mail that he has not gotten rid of.
Dane, you just rip that crap and have him throw it in the garbage. Dane won.
Dane's worried people are going to be going through and taping all those ripped pieces together. So for years he has been crippled
I have like old
He has been
credit
crippled.
cards in my desk at home, like
He has
just
been
stuff I
crippled.
haven't shredded.
because he hasn't been able.
Yeah.
He hasn't bought a shredder. So
Grab
when-
a pair of the second you get spam mail, I get scissors, cut it, rip it, throw it in the trash,
yeah,
and I call it good.
and that's what I do. I tear it in
Yeah.
like 6 pieces and I throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put some in the recycling, some in the trash, just to throw them off. Right? Dane has been stockpiling it in one of his spare rooms. So, needless to say, he had a very large project that necessitated a tool.
Actually, it needed a shredder.
He needed to buy a shredder.
Okay, unless it's an industrial shredder, that shredder is going to have a hard time.
Oh no, trust
Mind
me,
you-
that was
mind you,
the
there
thought
are
going in.
companies that will drive their truck over to you and shred everything.
He's saying all this
for
like I
you.
don't already know this.
He apparently knows all that
Dane,
stuff.
you need
So,
to have a
I
dumpster
know these
fire
things.
in the back of your house. Is what you need.
He lives in Meridian. He can legit light all that stuff
You
on
need
fire.
to burn that.
You could have a burn barrel and fill it up. Anyway, so that's where we were. So that's when I'm asking. It's now been a week and a half, 2 weeks since you
I
got the
spaced
shredder.
out the shreds, but the
So-
shredder is mostly for future proofing so that I don't have to worry about it in the future. So as they come in, I'll take care of it now.
But you have a stockpile. So realistically, every night for a good couple hours, you could be shredding documents.
See, the issue for me was you get a lot of like spam mail and stuff. That's obvious. You throw it away, whatever, it's fine. But anytime I got like a car loan or home loan or any of that kind of stuff, that's when you get the influx for a little while of like
Right,
all
yeah.
these different things that
Yeah.
have
With your info
they're not
and
they're not
they're trying to
actually
get
loans, but they're like the
deals.
loan
Yeah.
offer crap that you
Right.
get. But the problem is they have a decent amount of personal information all in one
Right.
place on them, even though they are essentially real life spam.
Yeah.
So the question then is, okay, yeah, I can
Yeah.
rip it up
So-
and throw it away, but I'm a little uncomfortable with
But
that.
he has enough to build new furniture out of all that mail.
Yeah.
You could hodgepodge and glue.
You could paper mache. I
You
believe
could
is what
paper,
they call, was what
paper
they call
mache a
that, right?
couch.
So
Yeah.
in
Paper mache a
fairness,
new desk.
I have a few banker's boxes full of just old papers that I need to get rid of that haven't been dealt with yet,
So did
and
you
that's
get to go
basically
through
what's
them?
happening.
Have you gone through them all?
Little by little. I don't want to wear out the shredder all at once. That's the
Well,
big
yeah,
thing.
you
It's
don't
like
wanna
I don't
burn that
want
motor
I don't
out.
want to burn that thing down. So
So
it's
spend
just
$30 on it.
you just space
Got to
it out.
get that.
You're
Got to
like,
get
I'm
the.
gonna get up to go get a
Yeah.
snack. Great. I'm gonna run 10 envelopes through this thing.
So that's what Dane's. That's been a project at Dane's house.
Waking up in the middle of the night, like I am thirsty.
Well, yeah, he takes Callie out. He takes Callie out to go to the bathroom. While she's going to the bathroom, he holds the shredder, puts a couple letters in while she's going to the bathroom, and he's like,
Yep.
"All right, Callie, let's go."
So basically,
back
you need
down.
you need to buy like another box fan to blow on the shredder to cool
Keep it cool.
down.
Yeah. Well,
I need to build like a liquid cooling system
Yeah.
for my shredder.
yeah. So
Oh my!
that's what Dane's been working
But
on.
but what happened was, here was the issue: was we drove over in the Miata. I went to Best Buy because I wanted to pick up stuff that day, and I figured Office Depot, whatever. There was a big whatever. I just thought Best Buy would be easier. I'm not a huge Best Buy fan, whatever. Went there anyway. Got the shredder, but then I saw they had TVs that had very, very low price for a TCL.
Right now they're doing
For a 43-inch, I got it for
a month prior to Black Friday. They start doing this stuff where they knock everything down.
Oh yeah. Well, basically,
So he picked up a 43-inch television
Okay.
and a shredder, but he was in the
Basically-
Miata.
basically one of these to use as a monitor at home for working from home rather than staying at the office late here. That was my logic.
Yeah.
But I was in the Miata. And Liz reminded me of that fact right as we were heading towards the checkout. And it was like, oh, crap, you're right.
So did he go home and get the Jag?
No. I
mean,
went
the
home
truck.
and I got the Sport Track. So I got that, and then we went back, and then we fit everything in there. And that was fine. But the
Did
nice
you go
thing
to
about
Costco
that...
too and get some groceries
No.
while you were there?
No. But what happened was driving over there in the Miata, a guy who sold me the trunk I used on my Miata spotted us and started asking me like, how's it's going? And I basically mentioned I had the cars for sale. And then I basically got a lead that way because then he's just like, you're selling more than one car? And I go, yeah, I got a Volvo wagon too. He's like, oh, my brother and I love Volvos. And then it
So,
turned into this.
Fun long story
yeah.
short, he sold the Volvo last night to that guy's brother.
That's not true.
Oh, so okay, so that didn't
No,
happen.
I'll let you
but
continue.
it was a lead anyway. But sure enough, after I renewed the Volvo listing, I had a lot of renewed interest. And suddenly, out of the woodwork came about 5-6 people who were all interested in the Volvo all around the same time period. And they all wanted to come look at it on Sunday, of
Yeah,
all things.
yeah.
So that was kind of like,
So
well,
your weekend
first
was
come, first
stacking
serve.
them deep. Did you have hot dogs and soda pop for people when they
RC
came by the
Willie.
car lot?
Yeah.
Came
So
by Dane's car sales.
first come,
Stacking them deep and
first
selling them
serve.
Is there
cheap.
financing there too, or
A guy pulled up in a Mazda Speed 3.
Push, pull, or drag your
Red.
trade in.
So
to
it's basically
Dane's.
the Mazda Speed equivalent of the Volvo.
yeah,
And he was looking, he's just like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
look at super nice kid. Turns out he's like buddies with Jimmy, and
Nice.
he knows John because he works at the Rib Shack. So apparently John's over there all the time.
The
Learned
Rib
something
Shack?
new.
John eats at the Rib Shack.
Apparently,
John Green,
yes.
the Rib Shack.
Huh.
Apparently.
we'll have to investigate
What
this.
kind of is that? Some Bodunk shack? Where is that? Where
It's across the street from his house. That's why it's so.
you're talking about over on Eagle?
Yes.
that the pig place that has the pig. On
I guess
the,
it's just called the Rib Shack.
I've always wanted to eat there.
John-
It's
we'll
not-
have to
it's not-
talk to
it's not
John.
that
Apparently
Bodunk,
that's
actually, it
his,
looks really nice.
Well, apparently, yeah, the kid recognized because he's just like, oh, because I mentioned the rag company. He's like, wait, do you work with Jimmy? I'm like, I'm his boss.
Yeah.
He was just like, really? And then he was like more excited about
Yeah,
the car because
okay.
then he figured it's like, okay, if it's with
Safe-
you guys,
safe
then it's a
person,
pretty
yeah.
safe person to buy from. So
Yeah.
Oh, very
that's
nice.
true. I am a safe person to buy from. Hey, but anyway,
Pick them up today over at Dane's Car Sales, the
You'll-
safest guy you'll meet.
You'll feel
so
safe.
very, very happy to say that
And every car gets free shredding. Bring your personal documents.
the car is a pending sale, so he's gonna buy it, but obviously he's gonna work on getting himself
Yeah.
a loan.
Gotta
So
get
he's
some
gonna go talk to
financing.
the bank
Yeah.
today, and then
Okay.
once
All
he
right.
works out how he gets the cash, he brings it to me, and we transfer the title over to him. So
perfect. Yeah.
that is what's gonna happen. So I honestly did not expect the Volvo to go first. If you look at my
Well,
phone
you
on
have-
my Facebook
you
Messenger,
have priced
I
the
have-
Miata
I have-
at triple the value of what it actually is worth.
bull crap. Okay, so the thing with the
Fact,
Miata
Dane, it's
is
a fact. It's
okay.
2,300 over Kelly Blue Book right now.
$2,300. It's $2,800. How is that $2,300 over Kelly Blue Book? Unless you're just
2,300
totally-
over G. Davis said.
Levi's like it's a
$2,300.
$500 car. Well, I don't know if you
No,
can, yeah.
no. I know what I have. Okay, so basically, the Miata
Pick
has
up your car
over
today.
over 30 messages
I
from
know,
30
it's very
different.
impressive.
Well, okay, there are hundreds of messages, but 30 different people, all one in the Miata, but only one has actually come to look at it,
Yeah.
and that's the issue.
That's right.
People are flakes. So anybody who's ever tried to sell a used car, especially a cheaper used car, knows this like the effing plague.
Got to
It
drop the
is
price,
so
Dane. 20%.
No. I refuse to do that. I can afford to have all the cars in my drive. I will continue to do so until somebody reasonable comes along and doesn't try and lowball. Hey. And you know what? Most of these people haven't lowballed. It's just the fact that they send messages and then they don't follow
Well, the
up.
nice thing is you do have room on your expansive property. You've got room for the Miata and the Jag in the garage. You've
Once
got room in the
the
C-Max in the
Volvo
cul-de-sac.
goes, I'll be able to park the Jag in the garage again.
The C-Max can be in the... Why don't you just park the Jag in the garage and leave the Volvo out? As far as you're concerned, it's
Because
sold.
then I would have to move the Volvo every day when I want to drive the Jag
No,
to
you just
work.
park it in your cul-de-sac in front of
No,
your house.
I'm not putting that in the street. No.
Perfect.
No.
Or park it behind the
Park
sport
on the
track.
park on the grass.
On the gravel.
Nothing can park behind the sport track because I got a fence there.
We'll take the fence down and park it in the backyard.
Dane, you are cursed with too many cars right now. You have to get rid of them all.
So
I'm not in any rush to do it. I'm not going to be bullied into selling them for dirt cheap.
Once the Volvo's gone,
Not
the
gonna happen.
Miata, he never has to sell. It can stay in the garage with the Jag. Then he's got his coupes. This way, the C-Max can be parked either on the driveway or in front of the house.
Yeah.
And then the sport track can be looking
He's
tough
saying that, okay, you
in the
want to know
rock
how the
garden.
layout currently is and has been for the last few weeks?
All four
Volvo
cars
and the
on
Miata
driveway?
are in the garage. Jag, C-Max, and Sport Track are in the driveway. Because I have a 2-car driveway,
Yeah.
but then I also have a dirt side that goes beyond that. That's like RV trailer parking, which is where the Sport Track goes because, hey, it's a truck. I'll drive on rocks with that. I don't care.
Well, you could just park the Jag there.
F no.
I just feel bad for the Jag because it's sitting outside and it's just
Well,
like
if Anthony owned it, it'd be sitting in the garage.
it'd be in my house.
Yeah, that's
It'd be
true.
in the house.
Well, you spent so much
See,
money on it.
this is the thing is, once again, I don't just go buy any old thing. I looked for a very specific thing, and this one was an extremely
amazed
good deal.
It made it up the driveway.
I bought a car to drive it.
You
and
did,
I
and
will take care of it,
I
but I'm
told
also
Anthony-
not going to treat it like it's an art piece
Yeah.
that can only stay inside. I'm going to drive it.
Yeah. And I told
Period.
Anthony, you've driven it every day since he's been gone in honor of Anthony being gone.
A couple exceptions, but mostly, yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing.
It's very nice.
I take the
is.
Sport Track out, too.
Very nice.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm proud of you, Dane.
No.
I'm just saying. I'm proud of you.
I love that car so much.
I'm very proud
I-
that you possibly sold the
I don't
the,
think I'm going to
the
get
Volvo.
tired of it.
So that's nice.
Dane is going to be the new guest on Daily Driven Exotics.
Yep.
So he'll be on there.
I may have the horsepower to qualify, but while it's a nice car, it's not an exotic. So
Well,
I
you'll
can't
enjoy it.
get away with that. But
All right.
any rate,
So mailroom
stuff.
getting more expanse.
So here's
You're
the
gonna have a
other
nice-
thing. I have
nice new
actually
guest room.
it'll be going on this afternoon. I'm
Okay.
having measurements taken of the back doors on my patio.
Ah, very nice.
Because
Putting in
I am
new doors
replacing the existing like Dutch door setups that they both
with sliding
are
glass.
with sliding glass.
Oh, very nice.
So that's going to be happening.
I like the Dutch doors though. I think
Well,
they're nice.
I like them in terms of
Are
appearances.
they Dutch or French?
Well, here's the thing. So they only open on one side. So they
so
look
have
like
you have
two
a
doors,
faux-
but
Right.
only
So
one
it's a
side
faux
opens.
door, yeah.
So it's not a true French where both doors open.
Correct.
So technically,
one
a
is
Dutch.
totally sealed, but it looks like a door. Like
right.
You
I have that
wouldn't-
in my bedroom
yeah.
as well. It's one door, but it looks like it's two.
But it's a full like
Yeah.
door glass pane.
Yeah.
They match perfectly. The only difference is one has a handle, one doesn't.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what I have going out to my patio right now, and they're old. They're original to the house. Callie, when she wants in, she will scratch it, and over time, that's just eating away at the wood. When I bought the house, that was one of the things I renovated. Was I pulled the doors out of their frames, I painted everything, did all the trim, all that stuff, put new
Beautiful.
seals in it.
Lovely.
Looked great, but now that I think back to it, I've owned that house for close to a decade now.
Yeah. No,
Which
things
is
start to
crazy
Yeah.
in my mind that I'm just like, wow, I've been a homeowner that long.
Yeah.
So
It's
just
weird when you
weird.
think it's weird when
Feels
you
weird.
don't realize like how much damage you've physically done to the house. When we went to sell ours, we'd had it for a decade, and we repainted everything, and I was like,
Or like
hitting
things
stuff,
that you
and I was
paint
like,
and you do a little blotch and you're like,
Oh.
oh, I'll fix that later, and then you never do. And 8
Yeah.
years later, you're looking at it going, I never fixed that.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and that's yeah, it's crazy when you're like, oh wow, I had to repair the wood jam
Yeah.
between our slider just because I had dogs as well.
Yeah.
at the
No,
time, and they would.
It's been a
Scratch at it.
great house, and I don't plan on going anywhere
Well, it'll
else
be nice when you
anytime
get rid of
soon.
it. Yeah, you'll be able to sell it and get that bigger garage.
That's the only. If I could have the same house
What
but
if-
with a bigger garage, I'd be happy.
What about a metal carport built on the side, so you could have some covered
a
parking
metal
for the truck
carport is more.
on the side of the side where
Acceptable.
your RV bay is?
I'm a little leery of carports just because of when the snowpocalypse hit in the winter. A lot of carports collapsed. It just seems flimsy.
So build it out of wood.
I mean, I could build it as an addition to the house, although then I'd be right on the property line, and I don't think they allow for that. So, it's a
Pretty
bit
sure
of an issue.
there's usually
I hear there's a lot of codes and laws.
there's just
that
a
say you
line. There's
can't
usually like you have to
go
have
within
like
10
a
or 15 feet of the border.
sometimes
of your
it's like
property.
it's like a 2 foot or 3 foot easement
Okay.
to the border. that
I thought
you
it was
can
like
sink
10
posts.
foot.
No, I mean, if you're looking to sink.
I mean, if you're sinking a post, that's
but if you're sinking a
different.
post, you shouldn't need an easement.
But if you're sinking a post and you're attaching a roof to it.
No,
right?
if you're attaching, I think it's attaching a wall.
Oh, so if you just leave it open.
If you just leave it open, I don't think it's a problem. But anyway,
in fairness,
potential
that is a very
ideas.
protected side of the house. I mean,
Yeah.
if I ever felt crazy and spent the money to get like concrete poured there or
Mhm.
something,
It'd be quite nice.
Interesting.
Could be your wash bay.
Yeah.
Could turn that into a wash bay.
Yeah, the Great Dane Wash Bay Solution Package.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's
anyway.
what I'm considering to do with the MOSHQ
Yeah.
and my RV pad is to create an overhang
Yeah.
of some sort, whether it be posts and or metal carport addition to the side there with a door, so I could walk through out
Yeah.
there from the garage. So that way I could just walk out, and then I'd build a pressure washing solution package.
And I know
out
concrete
there.
pouring can get extremely expensive.
Thankfully, I already have concrete.
But
so.
as far as the stuff goes, is it? I assume it's more difficult on an incline.
Probably, but you
'Cause
could also
My
do it-
driveway is a bit of a.
You could do a little DIY with Dane.
Yeah.
Dane explains how to lay concrete.
Oh, that's great because
Hey guys, Dane here.
I've done small scale for posts in the backyard for fencing, but I've never done anything
Really?
large scale like a driveway.
It's not very
so-
hard. You just got to float it. So you just
Yeah.
take your 2x4 and a buddy. Me and Anthony could come over there. We float some concrete with you.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about it all
Put out
pooling
some-
towards the end
Well,
down
what you
the
do,
hill.
well, Dane, the
Like
way you
just
do that, you
over the
create
top,
some,
berm.
we call them rat holes.
Okay.
They're footings
Okay.
that you have to dig down, and then you fill it with road mix. And then on top of that, you put some metal wire grid in.
Oh, like
To help-
chicken wire.
Not chicken wire. You want something a little stronger, but you bend it, you buy it, you bend it, and then you set it inside your little troughs that you've built. Maybe
Trough,
you build
yeah.
four grids.
It's kind of like when people reinforce concrete with rebar and stuff like
Right.
that.
And then you get one of them pumper trucks come out, pump out that concrete for you. And then we just float it. We'll float it, and then we take a broom and brush it. Get the texture pattern. Could be something fun.
It's very tempting. I'll have to think.
Or
about
you get
that.
some fancy rock. You just re-level it and get really fancy
If
rock.
I just did like level pavers or something, I could maybe
Ooh.
clean the whole space.
Or you build a
up.
paver.
That'd be interesting. I don't want to turn this into
'Cause then it
Dane's
could be-
home improvement hour, but it was just
but
something like
that could be
to
a
think
permeable.
about.
That could be
Yeah.
a permeable surface. So then you'd have water drain between the pavers.
It's technically allowed, yeah.
Yeah.
And it would definitely be better than loose gravel.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Be quite nice. Coming
Okay.
soon to the Dane Hennen operations. It's going to be great. New guest room built or cleaned with
Yeah.
43-inch TV mounted for Dane's workspace.
I do plan
That'll be
on
nice.
basically ripping my garage down to the bare walls and repainting it and doing some stuff with
Oh,
it.
very nice.
Probably
New
next
sheetrock.
spring.
New sheetrock on everything. Thinking.
Maybe new sheetrock, although I
Painted all
patched
white?
all the holes the last time around when I
Well,
got the
it's-
house.
That's because Dane wanted to practice. He was in his punching phase back
Yeah.
then. He was punching, seeing how hard he could
I believe
hit.
you call it Kyle phase.
That was a Kyle phase.
No, it was more like the previous owner must have had an ATV or a dirt bike and the handles punched through the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit of, yeah. Anyway,
All right,
that's
Anthony.
mine. So, Anthony, it is now time
So
for you.
So
to
you
share
guys
your
got
journey
just went and got a hotel, and then that was about it, right?
That's it,
that was
yeah.
the whole honeymoon.
Now we're expecting
Not
our
a lot
first
to
child.
talk about.
Oh, very
folks.
nice.
Wow,
Congratulations.
you wasted no time.
No, so I guess I don't even know where to start. So basically, for people that are that have been
They
away,
already knew you had a wedding.
they already know I had a wedding, right?
Yeah.
And so now most people will schedule their honeymoon directly after their wedding, right?
Some
And go
people
straight
do.
from there.
Not
Um,
Anthony Fisher
He,
and the Fisher
gave
family.
it some breathing room.
No, we didn't. So basically, to give you guys an idea on kind of how this worked, is Katie's dad is in pharmaceutical sales, and he takes a lot of clients out to dinner at Gordon Biersch, right? I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
it's a big
Uh-huh.
there in Colorado.
Yep.
So apparently they have like a point system. If you spend enough money with them, they buy you a trip somewhere. So he has taken enough clients out there to get, I think it was 6 trips to Oktoberfest.
Whoa. Whoa.
So and
folks, make sure you sign up for Gordon Biersch's loyalty program.
so
Yikes.
This episode of the podcast brought to you by Gordon Biersch.
He's just taking that many clients out there.
Drink
and so
up.
Basically, and they don't expire. So
Yeah.
you basically email one person.
That's
and you
impressive.
Can claim it at any time.
Wow.
Holy
So
cow.
he asked us like, hey, as a gift, would you guys like to go to Oktoberfest on your honeymoon, right? And me and Katie kind of looked at each other like, that's an experience. So absolutely, right? So we booked the trip months ago, and it was literally we emailed a guy. He asked us for information, passport information, and that was it. Whole trip was booked. So basically, you choose your day you fly in, you choose your day you leave. It doesn't matter how long you stay there for. It does, you just say whatever you want. And they take care of the hotel and everything else. So basically, I'm not going to get into every single day on what we did, but me and Katie,
you started the trip. How was the flight?
I saw a picture of your legroom on the flight.
So the flight.
So you flew on Lufthansa.
We flew on Lufthansa,
and you took the All Day Anthony Travel Solution package.
Yes, my backpack, my American Cargo backpack.
And did you have the entertainment travel solution package as well?
I had the full Nintendo Switch. I had the headphones. I had everything.
Very nice. Very nice.
Basically, leaving Boise, my brother stayed at our house and stayed with the dogs, which was really cool. But getting on the flight, first flight was to Denver, and that was fine. And then we jumped on Lufthansa, and that we were in economy basically. Is normal, but what I did not expect was the lack of legroom. And we actually had more legroom on the Denver flight than we did on this flight, which me and Katie joked about. But we just made it work, and we both
had aisles.
We both had aisles, yeah. So she was on the other side of me on the aisle, but sucked. I didn't want to say it sucked because, how do I say this? I sat next to a talker. Right.
Oh.
And I was not expecting to sit next to a talker on a 9.5 hour flight. Right. So guy was really nice. He just,
they always are.
But he was just like telling me, so, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? I just kind of, let's talk for like 30 minutes. Right. Put on my headphones, and he would tap me and said, hey, I was just thinking about, since you're going here, you should, I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like just veg out right now. So I had to kind of deal with that for a little bit, but, the food was good on Lufthansa. It was actually they start you with the more German style food, which is pretty cool. And it was fine. I mean, we flew out middle of the day, 2 p.m. our time, and it was a 9.5 hour flight. So we landed whatever that heck, 11 p.m. Our time, but their time was 11 in the morning. Right, so. Some strange
mess
time
your brain
difference.
up a little bit.
Yeah. So we basically started our day over again, just kind of like how we did in the UK. And from there, we landed in Munich, which is really nice airport. Surgically clean, bathrooms, nicest bathrooms I've ever seen. But that kind of started to be a thing I noticed in just
Germany,
Europe in general. The bathrooms are just nicer. But getting into Munich, it was really nice. We basically had to take trains. Now, the hardest part about the train system there, in comparison to the UK stuff, is that we wished we had a Levi with us, because Levi did all the research on the UK to figure out every train that we needed to go onto.
You guys don't realize it took me 2 weeks.
But I vividly
every day
remember you
going through train tables,
detail.
figuring, double checking, cross checking, making sure things were proper.
Yeah.
Before we left, because I had to be responsible for not only myself, but you, Dane, and Jeff.
Well, it's an art form to learn that first off. And what I found that makes it harder is when all the signs are in a different language, and that made it even harder because they have German, and then they might have a small text in English. But we made do with it. But it was funny because me and Katie kind of felt the anxiety of, okay, we've landed in this airport. How do we get to this hotel? And we say, hey, how do we get here? Oh, take the train. Which train do I take? Oh, you're going to take the S train, the S8 train to this. You're going to get off, jump on the S2 to this. And they say it like it's nothing.
Right.
But like in our head, we're like,
it's kind of like Rain Man. The numbers are flying past your head, and it's
so. And I'm looking at Katie, but Katie is very similar to me as somebody needs to take charge or know what's going on. Yeah. But me and her were both like, so what do we do?
Way to put strain on a relationship early.
One thing you could have done was let me know what your itinerary was. I would have built that for you guys and made your honeymoon much easier. But again, I was not privy to this information. Next time
we figured it
send
out.
It on over.
And it's actually a really simple system. Yeah. Basically, every train will run through almost every station. It's just a matter of which point the train is at. So you could get on a train that's 30 minutes later than the next one, but
Right.
it could take you another hour to get back to where you're going.
Right.
So we got on the train, basically went straight into kind of the heart of Munich where Oktoberfest is. We had no idea, this was super cool, that our hotel was a 5-minute walk from Oktoberfest.
Nice.
And a 3-minute walk to the train station that gets off there at
perfect.
Oktoberfest. So it was like, we and Katie were looking at each other like, wow, that travel company or the company that we booked this through, we thought they were going to screw us over and
get you
put
in
us some
janky
bodunk.
Take a lot of money and keep as much as possible by
here's
giving you
the
a
days
total
in.
crap experience.
Well, we were both expecting like a Roach Motel and that we would have to pay a ridiculous Uber cost or jump on a train to get to Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
We were not expected to be put right into the heart of it. And so got off of the train, walked to this hotel not knowing what to expect. I'm just kind of taking in the whole German scenery and what it looks and feels like there. Turns out we stayed at this, it's called the Eurostars, one of the nicest hotels I've ever stayed in.
Nice.
And walked in, they have things of gummies everywhere, right? They have all sorts of.
Oh my
it's
God!
right
You're
up-
talking
right up
Anthony's
your
language.
Anthony.
They have cucumber
Language.
water. They have all these. They have a huge
refreshing.
bar. And we get in here, and I'm looking at her like, "Are you sure this is where we're staying?" And she's like, "This is where the reservation says."
You find out your place is in the basement.
We were
Well,
just
I saw. Did it have robes as well?
yes, it had everything.
Which is one of
fancy
Anthony's
robes.
favorites. Is if a hotel has a robe in it, he's going to put that on over his clothes most times.
I mean, I'm sure, but
That's how
I
he
think
likes-
he's most happy to see all the goomies.
That's how he likes.
Goomies.
That's how he likes to
everywhere.
relax.
I
With
just-
with some gummies,
Yeah,
some cucumber
Don't
water,
they
and a
pronounce it
robe.
goomies?
it's I don't
wanna
even
talk about
ask. But we so we checked into the hotel, and really I was just kind of going around checking things out. They had an infinity pool at like one of the stories. They had all these cool different things, but we were so freaking tired. Basically, a day we were up for 24 hours, so. We talked and said, "Hey, do we go out?" And we were both like, "Let's order room service and call it a night." And so we went to bed early that night. What screwed us up was the time change, waking up the next day.
Right.
So me and Katie
Set your alarm for the morning, or did you just wake up when when your body turned on?
We woke up at 4, right? And I'm looking at her. I'm like, "Can you sleep?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "I can't sleep either." I'm like, "What do you want to do?" And she's like, "Well, we need to get up. We need to go get you some lederhosen because the lederhosen is the leather pants that you wear there." But basically, the idea was that
that's what they call it.
we wanted to get those there in Germany because we thought they'd probably be nicer and cheaper being at Oktoberfest. So me and her woke up super early, went out, started exploring the city, which was really cool. We did that for a couple hours of just walking at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's kinda
But
nice,
it was
right?
cool because we saw the sunrise and everything. Went and checked out where Oktoberfest was, and it's quite literally a giant carnival is what it is, and massive, just ridiculously big. But I remember it was funny because we're walking so early, none of the shops were open, nothing was open, and then we end up stopping near this mall area, and there was like this bar that we kind of walked over to, and we're sitting there, and they were just opening up. And we asked the lady, "Hey, do you know where you can find these leather pants?" And she says, "Oh, actually, just right across the street, there's a booth there that opens in 30 minutes. And we're like, "Oh, cool." So I look at Katie, I'm like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And she's like, "Do you want to start drinking?" So it was.
And you were like, "I am thankful I married you."
8 o'clock in the morning, we get these 2 steins, right? And we start pounding down beer, 8 o'clock in the morning. And went and got my lederhosen and all of that. And that was like the start of our first day at Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So
Starting it
without-
out
Did
proper.
Katie have her? Did she buy her dress there? Or did
she got her dress there, yeah.
Okay.
So and it was
Because you guys look like you matched. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
the lederhosen, pure leather, super nice, and it was actually a lot more affordable than what you would think. It was about I think 70 euros to get into the full outfit. They sell you the
nice.
pants,
Wow.
they sell you the shirt, the
It's
socks.
actually less, than I would expect.
some
I was
people-
expecting like 150 or something.
No, it was. But let's just say, like, I'll be able to put some miles on those.
Nice,
if
very
I wanna,
nice.
If I want to bring them on more trips, they're
Well,
they're
we
pretty
are
nice.
we possibly will be making a trip to Germany in April, so
That is true.
Yeah,
you can wear them then.
we'll
I would
yeah,
like
we'll
to see Anthony in our booth wearing those.
Yeah, we
And
will.
that'd be great.
That'd be
We'll
awesome.
Leave a
see
comment if you'd
about
like
that.
Anthony to wear his lederhosen while
Yeah.
we're
Or
over
maybe
there.
on a detox or a Wash Wednesday.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting
Today we're cleaning this Audi.
I brought my tire for this.
Jesus.
I love it. You're like,
No. Anyway, so first day of Oktoberfest, we walk into this place. It's a party. It's an absolute crazy. So many people, so much food. It's like the feeling when you walk into a fair.
Yeah.
Think of like that, but like times 10 in terms of size and people.
And everybody's speaking German.
No,
No?
tons of people.
Big
from the
international
US.
audience.
Tons of people from the U.S. there. But basically, how this works is you have huge, long strips of open area, and on each side you have these beer tents that aren't really tents; they're just giant structures.
Yeah.
And each structure holds anywhere from, I think it's anywhere from 5,000 to 13,000 people.
Wow.
Right. So they're just that big, and each one of those tents, those structures, is sponsored by that beer company, and each one of those beer companies has, what would you call carriages that go around the area with horses and all these giant beer horses that walk around the area and kind of show off and stuff. But going inside one of these tents, it was kind of unlike anything I've experienced. It's a party in there with food, alcohol, dancing, singing, everything, and
it's a celebration.
As I say, just tell me when you get to the bad part, because that sounds great.
No, it is fun, and you walk into that, and then they look at you, and most people, they speak a little English, but you just look at them and say, hey, we want to find two spots for two people, right? And they will put you wherever they can that's open in this tent that is very full, right? So they'll put you in the weirdest spot next to all these people you don't know, and then you have to make friends.
It's a social occasion.
Say, hey, where are you from? Who are you? Nice to meet you. But you pretty much have to be open to not having a bubble, right?
Yeah,
you're in everybody's space.
People are probably pretty nice to you, though. If you say you're on your honeymoon, they're going to be like,
yeah.
oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And then each area has its own waitress. So you say 2 beers, and they bring you 2 steins, and you start drinking. But the food there, incredible. It's traditional Bavarian German food. So everything that you would want, from chickens to ducks to sausages and meat and lamb and all sorts of crazy stuff. Some of the best food I ever had. It was in those tents, and the pretzels are the size of your torso. Yes. It's amazing. But what was really cool, though, kind of one of the biggest takeaways I took from that day there being in the tents, is that they have this like tradition, or like this thing where if you think you can drink your entire stein, right, the whole thing, what somebody does is you stand up on the table, right, and this is not allowed, right, so you jump up on one of the tables, you stand there, and everybody will look in your direction and start cheering you on and start stomping their feet, and it's like literally hearing a roar from like hitting a home run. This guy will get down on his knee, right, or position himself, drink the whole stein, right. If he drinks the whole thing, you're a hero to that hall. Basically, you will get more applauded and praised more than anything, right?
Yes.
If you fail, you will get food thrown at you and booed.
Oh, that sounds great.
So we
love it.
We were like, because our friends were telling us this, because we actually met a couple from Boise that was going to the trip as well, and they explained how this worked, and we're like, gosh, hopefully we see somebody that does it, and they said it's probably unlikely because it's unallowed, and if they do it, they'll kick you out. Because apparently it's just not something that's appropriate. We got into our first tent. Within the first 5 minutes, a dude stands up on the table, and we start hearing. It was literally like it was like crowd roar. Like this is like the hero of the century. He holds up his sign, and people are screaming. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there like, so I'm just giving into. I'm like, heck yeah! I start yelling, and I'm holding up my beer. I'm like, freaking do it! Dude gets down on one knee, pounds down the whole beer, like shook the walls. It was so loud in there. And security comes, grabs him, kicks him out, and they gets the biggest boo from the security. It was super cool. But we went to, I think, 6 or 7 of the tents. There's about 15 of them there. Most people only make it to a couple in one day. We just bounced around. What's funny there is that what's funny is that we got a beer in most of these tents. Drinking beer there, it's not how do I say it? It's not a competition. It's enjoy your beer, have fun, right? The goal is not to get drunk. If you're going to, but it's not the first person to get drunk.
It's not the goal.
You want to get the most out of your day there, and so that's why it's like sip on it, enjoy it, eat some food, balance it out, drink water. But the beers, I mean, each one of those steins is about I want to say roughly 30 something ounces. Is roughly
probably almost 40.
They're massive.
This is what,
right?
64 right
this is
here,
64.
right?
So that's 6. Oh, then yeah. Then it's
that's what I thought.
Good God. Yeah. Then okay.
This is half a gallon.
Okay, so that's roughly roughly
60
about
ounces. So yeah.
So,
See, that's why I was thinking those when I saw the pictures that
that. There's
40
a
to
lot.
60 ounces.
There's a lot in there. I don't.
because the glass could be thick too.
But each one of those beers was €8, €8.
Yeah.
So it's
you're
That's
having,
actually a freaking
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
No.
So you're basically getting a couple fair beers.
Oh yeah,
for
you're
that as a
and
deal.
all the beers that were light. No, there was no dark beers. People think that the German beer is darker. It's not. It was all light.
Probably a lot of wheat beers.
A lot of wheat beers. It was all very light, easy stuff to drink.
Hogarden, Bitburger, stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember, so there's a couple different tents. I had sauerkraut, but it was like sauerkraut with, they're potatoes, but they are, how do I describe it? There's a word for it. It's like a breaded potato. I don't know how to describe it. But that, and then a shredded beef. And it was like, well, I literally was like in heaven. But we spent the most of the day there. Actually spent the entire day there. Didn't go on any rides. We've been drinking too much.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun. It was great. End of the night, we were just ready to. We were done. So we went home. That was that night. Next day, we ended up sleeping all the way until 2 p.m.
Holy crap!
And we literally slept for I don't know 16 hours, whatever it was. But the time thing and the drinking and all that really threw us off. But that day was kind of a wash. We stayed around the hotel area and around the main streets there. And then the following day, we went to it's called
Knott's Berry Farm.
No. It's so it's actually one of the opposites. It was one of the camps. We went to one of the camps.
Was it?
Well, that's a more somber experience.
Dachau, yeah. And that was one of the first encampments that they had there. It was actually the first one ever.
Yeah.
And it was, yes, it was somber. It was very interesting to see, though. And that was, I don't know how to describe it. You have a lot of feelings being there. Yeah. But it was more like, dang, like I can't even imagine this happening like in today's standards. I mean, I know there's horrible stuff that happens, but like that was just being in there and seeing what kind of went on. I'm not going to get too far into it, but it's definitely, if you like history, worth it. If you don't like depressing stuff, then I wouldn't do that. But we did that, and then that was kind of pretty much an all-day thing. And then the next day from there, we went to the Neuschwanstein castles, which was in Füssen, Germany. So basically at the very bottom near the Bavarian Alps. And so we took a 2-hour train ride to that. And that was, how do I say this? It was a little touristy there, not super bad compared to the rest of the trip, but ultimately the Bavarian Alps, those mountains and the greenery and all that, was some of the most, it was some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And drank more beer there, hung out, walked up to this castle. It was a hike basically. Yeah. But these castles were interesting because they're the castles based that Disney based their castles off of.
Right.
And they were relatively modern castles. These castles are built in the late 1800s, right? Yeah. So that's the difference. They're not like old, crazy castles.
They're not 1300s
Some of these castles were the first to have electricity, which is really interesting too. So it was really cool to see. I enjoyed just being in that area more. Kind of like when we were in Scotland, right? Like we enjoyed being on the countryside and going on the trains. That was some of our favorite times. And that was kind of the same thing for that. Coming back from that, we went to the next day. We ended up going to another day at Oktoberfest. This day was less. We didn't dress up this time. We went as normal people, and we just basically had a couple beers, but rode rides. And we wanted to ride some rides. And the rides there are definitely not the same as they are in the U.S. I don't think they have the same rules, so things go faster. Things are crazier. And
I can only imagine what the ground underneath those rides looks like after a day of
so heavy drinking.
So like normally
heavy sauerkraut eating.
Ooh,
so like on one of those like boomerang type of rides where you sit on it and spin as it projects you would die.
Like
Levi.
the scrambler.
But like like that, right? So here in the US, right, you would be lucky to be on that ride for maybe 3 minutes? 4 minutes, right? We were on that ride for 12 minutes.
Holy
what?
Good God, man.
12 minutes of nonstop. And we went through 4 songs. And I was telling Katie, I'm like, is this go longer in Germany or how does this work? Every ride, you got your money's worth.
Wow.
It was like unbelievable. But
Just imagine being stuck on the zipper for
dude,
15 minutes.
it was nuts. And I'm sitting here like, how are people drinking beers and not just throwing up everywhere?
Just hurling everywhere.
I guess the biggest difference though is at Oktoberfest during the day, there is kids there, right? Lots of adults, of course, lots of drinking, everything else. The second it turns night, kids are kicked out, and it does turn into it's a crapshoot. It really is. I mean, people are wasted, and it is a party still, but it's a different kind of party.
The tone changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had the night experience the first time, and we were like, okay, we just want to go during the day this time, and so that was our experience, and we had a lot of fun. But from there, I think that had been 5 days or whatever, 6 days. I think there might be something I'm missing in between there, but and then we had one day where we went and just explored all of Munich, and we went to a couple art museums, and they had a bunch of pop-up really fun things that were really cool. Going through the English Gardens, it's a park that is about 20 times the size of Ann Morrison. It just never ends. And I'm like, who's mowing this lawn? This is insane. We had some fun days. It was really, really cool there. I think the biggest takeaway I had from Germany was the fact that every dude smelled good, like straight up. Every dude smelled good, but also
I didn't know you were smelling that many dudes on your honeymoon.
Just smelling a lot of dudes.
There so many people, like cologne is such a big thing there that like you walk past anybody and you're like, wow, that dude smells good.
Oh, very nice.
That dude smells good. So it's actually kind of nice.
Well, I mean, cologne,
the
name.
Well,
cologne.
same things with the women too. They smelled good, but the even Katie was like, wow, I've smelled so many. She's like, no offense, Anthony. I'm like, no, none taken. These guys smell pretty damn good. But I think the other takeaway there too was that that's got to be one of the highest populations of people that smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. Chain smoking. It's just it's so much smoking that I'm sitting here like, how are these people not dying
Well,
faster or something? I don't know.
Europeans on average still smoke more, but the most smoking seems to still happen in East Asia. Like that is.
Oh, I'm
where
sure.
it's
Yeah,
just insane levels of.
I mean,
population
compared to the
smoking.
U.S., or at least compared to here in Boise,
Right, yeah.
I'm just kind of comparing that. But and what was really weird too is that beautiful women, good-looking guys, right, just young, right, are smoking, right, and you sit there like, oh man, why are you doing that? Like you don't have to do that. But so that was kind of odd. Every car. Oh, sorry.
And yet everything manages to be clean.
Sorry. The other thing that we did on top of going and exploring Munich, we also went to the BMW headquarters there. So BMW, which was really cool. Sat on some motorcycles, saw the cars. I love that. Morgan would have died because it's the biggest BMW clothing store outlet for all the accessories that you could ever want. And that was really, really cool. And then we went to the Olympic Stadium where they had the Olympics in the 70s.
Very cool.
And that was really cool as well. Eerie in the sense that, it's,
knowing the history.
A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened. So a little eerie, but it was still pretty cool. But yeah, takeaway from there, lots of smokers, lots of dudes that smell good. We got into an Uber. That was probably the sketchiest Uber of my life because the Ubers there, the cars do not match what the cars they say they drive.
Oh.
And then their license plates are also not available on there. So when you get into an Uber, you say, hi, are you this person? They say, yeah, sure. What? I think what it is, there's like taxi companies that Uber out that just put people in cars, right? So we got in this Uber, this guy.
How do you know you're not about to be
Dude,
kidnapped?
I'm freaking out in this. I'm freaking out in this thing because I thought I was getting picked up in a Prius. We get picked up in a Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. Katie's freaking out in the back because this guy barely speaks any English, right? And he's like, I'll take you on different route home. And I'm nope, I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, trust me, it's okay. Gets a call from some guy. He says, hello, Captain. Yes, I'll be on my way soon. And I'm sitting here like... we're getting kidnapped right now. And Katie's looking at me like, giving me the look like, if you jump out, I'll jump out with you, right? Somehow we made it back.
You gotta figure, I know you can be kind of a nervous person with that stuff, but like somebody else, sheer odds of that situation happening enough times, someone must have jumped out before.
It'll be nice to be able to talk in a few weeks. You'll be able to have a long conversation with Lars and Bodo.
and talk about my
and
experience,
find out
my trip.
If that's the
all
norm,
that's
or if that was
normal,
just a weird fluke.
Lars will be able to explain. Bodo
Yeah.
will be able to give you some great
But it
tips.
did get you where you needed to go, I assume.
Yeah.
Just,
So
uncomfortably.
following that, not diving too far into everything else,
Yeah.
we took a flight to Rome.
Mhm.
And the idea of going to Rome was just to go and experience while we're over there.
just go wander around.
It's an hour flight, but we were in Rome for 3.5 days, almost 4 days.
Wow.
And you don't need to be in Rome for that many days. Rome is a city full of history. It is very interesting. If you like history, you'll like it. But I have never seen tourism like that before in my life, and I have never felt so claustrophobic. And just there's too many people.
Here's this famous thing you know of from, your history books or your classes. Now share it with 10,000 other people all trying to do the same damn picture.
So, yeah, I know. But I don't know how to say this. So we got into Rome. Our hotel there, super nice. It was another gift from our wedding, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful hotel. We went to the Vatican probably the first thing in the morning. That we took a tour, which was great.
Check out the Sistine Chapel.
Yes. So
Got
we
to
went.
see the
It was
ceiling?
yes. So
Nice.
it was breakfast at the Vatican, is what
Oh,
it was,
nice.
right? So we got to go to
cool.
a very early morning breakfast and do this tour. That was more secluded than the rest,
Yeah.
but the tour still extended into the middle of
a
the
lot
day.
of history in the Vatican.
So the middle of the day, I can't remember what it was. I think they say there's 20,000 people or 30,000 people that go through the Vatican every day.
It's crazy.
New people, different people.
Yeah.
And inside there, the history was amazing, but I was so claustrophobic, and there's so many people
Tiny.
there
Yeah.
that it's so many people that think they're Instagrammers, right? That have a photographer with them
Yeah.
that are trying to pose and do all this stuff. But I'm like, you idiot! Like, there's literally a billion people behind you. The picture's not going to look good because of
Yeah.
whatever.
And they're like, we'll Photoshop out the
Like-
10,000 other people around us
But
later.
part of me is also like, just enjoy the scene. Don't come here to take pictures. Like, if you're coming here to look at the history, look at the history. Like, yeah, I was snapping photos, but as I was walking, like, oh, there's a cool photo. Bam, I'll look at that later.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was just trying to take it all in. And going to the Sistine Chapel is amazing, beautiful, just like you would imagine it would be. Very quiet in there. You had to take off your hats. You couldn't have your shoulders showing or anything like that, out of respect. But it was pretty cool. But what I probably wouldn't do with the Vatican ever again.
Yeah.
And if somebody were to say, would you recommend it? I'd probably say no. If you're okay with looking at pictures or doing other things in Rome, I would say do that. It just, there's too many people. So that was pretty cool. Then the next day, we went out and saw the other things like the Trevi Fountain, and went and saw the Spanish Steps and all those things. And that was kind of just a day of wandering. And then we went and saw the Colosseum. And
Yeah.
that was hands down my favorite. Out of the whole trip, I think the Colosseum was my biggest takeaway because it was a little less touristy because we were on another early morning tour.
I would think it would be the most touristy,
no,
other than the Vatican.
because they only let 3,000 people in every set amount of time, right?
Because they don't want to deteriorate it.
So yes,
Sure.
because they don't want there to be too many
Because
people.
the Vatican, they have a full staff,
Yeah.
and it's a working. I mean, it's a working
It's a
city.
working
city,
It's
yeah.
still
Yeah.
a working city, and so
It's its own government.
It is, and so it has the infrastructure to be able to fix itself and repair, and they can
Yeah.
process that many. Where the Colosseum is still original
Yeah.
and is thousands of years old.
Yeah, no,
And
that would be my number one fear is
They're
just
just trying to keep it.
the number of people.
Yeah.
But that makes sense then that they do that.
But what I loved though is that the Colosseum tour was not just a tour of the Colosseum, but it was also a tour of the ruins outside of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
And going through all this, off the beaten path. There wasn't that many people compared to everywhere else, and I really liked that about it. And it was just so insane to see the Colosseum in person. Is just amazing, right? Because
Yeah.
you're just thinking, wow, I'm standing on the floor that the gladiators fought
Yeah.
on. And the amount of ruins underneath the floors,
Yeah.
all the traps and all the stuff they had set up. I guess the saddest part about it is just, seeing how it's deteriorated over the years and seeing that people have been crappy people and have vandalized things or things like that, is what it is.
But I like that kind of stuff because I'm of the nature of, and I've always been this way. I like standing in places like that where history has passed.
You're
and
just
you
picturing-
feel it. You
and,
feel it.
and
over there. Like,
and
it's
there's
crazy.
there's a saying, "Stand ye in holy places," and I don't. they don't have to be holy in the religious sense.
No, just
They have to. I see it more as holy in the timeline of the world sense.
a
And
lot
so,
has happened here.
In this one spot.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Scotland and we were at the University of Glasgow,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we walked out into that courtyard through the cloisters.
Yeah.
There was a tree, an oak tree, sitting in the middle of the cloisters that was probably 500 years old.
It was
If
big,
not
yeah.
older.
It was
Big.
a
It was
big,
big tree,
big
yeah.
oak
Yeah.
tree. And oaks take a very long time to grow.
Mhm.
And so looking at that, going like, holy crap, this 500 years people have sat under this tree. I like
Yeah.
standing in those kind of areas. So
Yeah.
I can agree with you when you say like
Yeah.
it was really
What I think what I
Cool
like
to
too
feel that.
is our tour guide on that tour. She was very into explaining the little things that most people wouldn't explain.
Perfect.
And so
Yeah.
she would say, hey, like, most of the time people are going to cover this. That's pretty basic. She's like, I'm not going to do that because you can Google this. She's like, I'm going to talk about this because this is interesting. But she really set up every single little area we went into as like a real experience because, you know, you walk through a certain area and she's like, okay, this is the corridor that the gladiators took when walking into the stadium. So just imagine yourself being a gladiator walking in, right? And it was just crazy because at that time, there was nobody in that corridor except for just like us, and I was like ahead of the group. So walking into that and seeing nobody around me, but like getting the feeling of being what that
Yeah,
would have been like,
yeah.
dude, I got like chills because I was like, wow, like the grand feeling of
yeah,
how
you felt the energy there.
it was
Yeah.
like nuts. So I really loved that. But the really cool part is we went to this whole area to where it was about 100 years ago. They excavated it and they found it underneath all this dirt. Basically, if you can imagine this, 2-story building, right? Just imagine a 2-story building. In 1900, it was a 1-story building.
Right.
And they said, look at this building. Isn't it beautiful? We want to do some work around here. Let's start digging some areas because we want to do some more buildings over here. They dig down a little bit and they say, oh, there's stuff under here. Let's keep digging. That 1-story building is now a 2.5-story building after removing all of the dirt out. And there was an entire,
So
literally
25
a whole
feet.
city underneath this thing. And she was explaining that, and I was like, holy crap, dude. And she basically said it was just like the lasagna effect. They just built on top of it, put more dirt in, built on top of it, put more dirt in, and they did that 20 times over. And
Yeah.
so it was just really cool to see all of that. And the food in Rome was amazing. Of course, we went to a bunch of every corner has a pizza stop, a pizza place. Every corner has a
Yeah.
pasta place. But we did that. Lots of walking. We were hitting 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And burned off pretty much everything we ate, all the gelato, all of that. That was pretty much it. I mean, it was a really awesome time, but I think we were super grateful for the whole thing. But the other thing I think we realized is that, well, I like that we're on the same page. Me and her have no interest in world traveling. Like,
Yeah.
we appreciate that, right? But that is not probably our idea of like, let's go and do this.
Right. There are couples that
Love that.
do that.
Yeah, they
That's-
love that.
My sister's one of those.
Yeah.
My sister and her fiance, that's what they love to do.
They get like restless.
they
They gotta
save
go.
they save money all year and then plan a trip
Yeah.
and then go on that trip. And then they come back and then they save and save and save and save and then go on a trip. Like
Yeah.
that's they like doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I totally, we met a bunch of people that
Yeah.
love doing that. That are just, they love traveling. They're wanderlust. They go everywhere. Me and Katie are like, this is really nice. We really appreciate it. This is a really cool experience. But this isn't us, right? The stress of train rides, the fact that you have that you're wearing the same dirty clothes.
I was gonna
3
say,
days
there's
in
a
row.
compromise with like how much stuff you can bring when you go to these places
Yeah.
and do these
Well, and
things.
a lot of
being-
times you just want to be home on your couch.
And dude,
Yeah.
and being gone for 2 weeks, and especially after the other thing too is that we coming to the realization that we just had a wedding.
Yeah.
That was very, the weddings are stressful, right? Going into another, traveling outside the country where you don't speak the language and you have to figure out how to transport, how to get around, how to do all this stuff
That is
also
also
stressful. And so if we could have done it over again, we probably would have done what everybody else does, is just go to Mexico and go to an all-inclusive Hawaii resort or Mexico resort and go sit on the beach. That would have been pretty relaxing over running around, jumping on trains, taking taxis, not speaking English, having to run out of money and have to go get more euros because we
Yeah.
ran out of cash and they only accept cash in certain places.
Right.
It's a bunch of that stuff, but biggest takeaway was that, we liked it. We loved it. It was really fun. But
You want some more of it?
no, it just I like that she's also on the same page as me. She says,
and that's nice.
she doesn't have to go
It's
do that kind of
important
stuff.
to
And
understand that.
and I was under that same boat. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll go other places. I'm sure as a company we'll go other places. But I think that between you guys, I think that if I can, I mean, Rome may not be the best comparison of Italy, but I think you guys would like Germany more, maybe. The people are nicer in Rome than in Germany, from my experience, but that was pretty much about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, welcome home. We're
Yeah.
thankful to have you back.
We are glad you were back safe and
It's
sound.
felt strange not having you.
Did it really? I was actually
will say
wondering.
that.
I'm like, was it normal? Was it?
No,
was
there was a clear like absence. Just like when
There
you'd
was
be
an
having
absence felt.
conversations and you're like, I feel like Anthony would have something to say about this.
Yeah, we all had to
Yeah.
like curb stuff at the same time. We didn't miss you at all. No, I'm just kidding. We missed you a lot. It was great to it's great to have you back. Specifically because we have so much work that we've been doing,
we
getting ready.
need you to come
We
back.
needed you to
and
come
There
back
is so
because,
much that needs to be done.
Just getting the leftovers, and it hasn't been a problem to take on some of the stuff for you since you've been gone. But we're happy to have you home. We're happy that you guys were safe.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
love seeing all your stories and photos and pictures,
Yeah.
and it looked like you guys were having a blast, and that was what it was about.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah,
love
absolutely.
having you. So
It was fun. Well, I'm glad to be
Glad
back.
you
Glad
enjoyed
to
it.
get back to work. I'm glad to be here on the podcast so everybody can
No.
hear all the
It's-
stories and
it's
adventures.
Literally the
That's
first
right.
thing you do when you get back, go right on the podcast.
That's
So-
right.
dude.
That's
That's
right.
that's how it's been.
well,
every single
and for
time.
those of you guys wondering, Morgan is not sick. Her and Sydney, Gwen from My Wash Auto Detailing, the two of them are actually, they landed. They're in Denver. They rented a little car. They are headed to Rupes because today the two of them are building their own polishers.
Heck yeah,
They're each building a Mark II 15 or Mark III 15.
Mark 315.
They got Mark IIIs this time.
Excellent.
So if you look for that, I guess. 'cause
Yeah,
this
I
isn't
follow
live,
their
so-
stories.
well,
I guess.
if they're by the time this comes out, hopefully their stories are still viable.
I was just saying,
um,
24 hours should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're vlogging, so we'll have
Yeah.
a video about that as well. But
Yeah.
the girls went to go build their own polishers,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
So
So
also to get educated on the Rupes
and
system.
they're going to be they're going to get to do
Jason
some training.
Rose is going to serenade them with all of the information.
Jason's not in town, it's just
Oh,
Dylan.
Oh, it's
So,
Well,
but Dylan is talking about taking him to Hefe's tonight.
Oh my.
Oh, well,
God.
then
They're going to
that's,
send pictures for
Son
Dane.
About as good as
of
it gets.
a-
Yeah.
Dang. dude.
So and they'll be staying at the Omni tonight,
yeah.
sharing a room. So
Lovely.
yeah. So anyway, that's what they're doing. So Morgan is not here because she's making her she's building her polisher. So
yeah.
pretty sweet.
Excellent. Well, I guess that kind of wraps this one up then, doesn't it?
Yeah,
does,
easy.
So, until Thursday when we do our live stream and we got more to talk about, this is us saying adios. But before I say goodbye, I suppose Anthony has something to add.
Should I wear my lederhosen on Thursday's Q&A?
Ooh, that'd be amazing. I would.
Should
love
I
to
do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that.
If you guys want me to wear
that.
my lederhosen on this Thursday's Q&A, leave a comment, right? Let me know that you want to see me wear it. I will.
Okay.
All right, that's
All right.
it. That's it.
Well,
Take us home, Dane.
okay, I guess that sums it up. But I will remind you guys, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Rag Company. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Rag Company Podcast. There are 2 different channels. I want you subscribed to both of them. So you know when this stuff comes out, it's fun. You enjoy it. If you're here, you're listening, you already know. But tell a friend too. That's always very helpful. So with that said, I'm really saying adios this time. Bye-bye.
See ya.